Well, hello everybody. We're going to get into good talk. There's been a ton of propaganda by friends, everybody else. I am actually going down the GTA right now. Just getting into it. I head west every day. I do the entire length of the GTA. And just for this morning, I'm going to run a live all the way through it. And I'm going to show people just the scale and scope of a daily commute in the wee early hours of the morning. The Greater Toronto area in the early hours of the morning. Basically, best drive I'm ever going to get at any point of the day. It's right now, and just still the scope and scale of how many vehicles, that 6-lane across, going through 14 million people's populations in these high-rise epicenters throughout the GTA. And I'm going to let you all see that. And while I keep the camera focused on the opposing traffic, and you can look at just how many trucks are there every day. And this is that wee early hours of the morning, everybody. Best driving you're ever going to get. And 8 a.m., it is literally thousands and thousands of big rigs between two lanes. I don't even take it to go to work, because that would be impossible. I take the 407, the toll highway. But already, and I'm not even GTA yet, I've passed probably 1,000 trucks. Easy. I'm used to it every day. I do it every day of my life. Huge amount of driving. And, I know everybody thinks this convoy thing, and they think Americans are coming, and it's been blowing up to massive proportions. It's already been myth busted, by the way. I'm going to go through it anyway, and I'm going to talk about Canada's Crown, Canada's police force, and the actual death penalty we have in Canada. And it's very easy. Please swear the Crown oath. If anyone's ever been into firearms, if you've ever owned large amounts of handguns legally in Canada, if you went through the registries when it first opened up, like I did, you learned a few things about guns. As I entered into major trouble, I actually ended up with the owner of the Wild West. I ended up with him in court. Both of us ended up in there. And he had a lawyer, he lost. I didn't have a lawyer, I won. I did get my guns back. It took all of 8 years. We're going to get into that on the way through GTA here. I'm going to let you guys not see my face. You're going to hear my voice. And you're going to see the GTA as I drive it every day. To put it in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, and why this isn't going to work. It's why United We Roll didn't work. And like I said, we're already starting to get into the flow of traffic here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just goes on and on. Big rigs. And this is the daily commute. I call it the daily convoy. And at certain times of the day, it's wall to wall. Many, can be upwards of 60 kilometers long of rigs and cars, sure. But that convoy is not much in comparison, folks. I mean, for Ottawa, great. If you're going with the cross-border mandates for the truckers, any other narratives, mandates, lockdowns, restrictions, you need to do the Toronto. You need to be on the next highway over that takes you right to the legislature, which is a big traffic circle where you can drive big rigs all around that legislature in Queen's Park all day long. And that would move Doug Ford. That's what I would suggest if you want to fight workplace restrictions, masking, the rest of it, like everybody says, like somehow Trudeau's going to take away the division of powers. He won't. But we're going to get into everything now, and I'm going to flip the camera. And again, this is the lightest portion of the day on the GTA, and you're all going to get to see it, and I'll let it run. Just going to disconnect here, hit the switch. get set up. Fix something. There we go. Okay, so this is, we're not even at the GTA yet. I'm going to kill this light so you have better there. And I'll talk and I'll let everybody see it. But you'll see massive amount of trucks, and this is the wee hours of the morning here. Lightest traffic. I wouldn't even attempt the GTA on my way to work from that 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I would never make it to work. Likely be a 3.5 hour drive. And I mean, there's what's in front of me going westbound. This is all eastbound where the convoy will be coming through. And you'll just see a massive stretch, 4 lanes each way. It's massive, everybody. And like I said, you'll count the trucks. We'll way overshoot. There's 1. They come in waves. There's 2. This is opposing traffic. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll tell you how the GTA works. You'll have 2 lanes of big rigs every day, and then generally 2 car lanes, and you can pass in the outside lane. Big rigs aren't allowed in there, but already, whether the camera shows it well or not, I've already passed probably 20, 30 trucks. There's more, and again, empty side of the day. But I want to get into people's notions of Americans crossing the border, smudging vaccination to join a Canadian convoy with American rigs, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 machines, truck trailer, and the rest of it sleepers. They can be even more than that. Registered from America, American drivers faking vaccine shots or coming with fake manifests. Canada is brutal, and I'm going to tell you the history of foreign nationals here in Canada. I'm going to talk about several large-scale crime syndicates in Canada. In precedent law, there's more than 1,300 relating to foreigners coming into Canada to make protest or, like organized crime, make intrusions into Canada. One precedent we can go back to is from my home province of Alberta in the city of Edmonton back in the late 90s. If people don't remember, the gang, the triad from Hong Kong, a real brutal crime syndicate boss, decided to come to Edmonton, Alberta, and situate himself there with Chinatown downtown. And of course, high violence, high gun crime, all of it wanted. He gets off at the municipal airport downtown Edmonton. A member of the triad came to pick him up. Of course, they have firearms in the car. Police are ready for it. They pull him over, and of course, with weapons, they could see. They said, you can read the precedent. Edmonton City Police emptied. Okay, everybody, they emptied 107 shots into that car and into that man and into the driver. Okay, they had guns on them. That's Canada. Nothing came of that. That was not a crime. That is the way of Canada. You will find this is the exact same way of Russia. That's something that Canada, through its crown powers and what police swear to here in Canada when they're ordered. Now I'm going to get into gun rights. Yes, we have what's called a PAL. You can get an RPAL. I have an RPAL. I've always had an RPAL. I inherited handguns from World War II. My great uncle was Special Forces, war hero. My brother got several weapons. I did too. I got a sniper rifle of his that was in that war, and of course that's a deep treasure. But handguns from World War I and II. A lot of people got that from Nazi Germans. When they were killed, they would lift them off the dead, bring them back to Canada. A lot of people inherited stuff like that. The 9mm Lugers, for example. So, years ago, I'm building a treehouse in Edmonton, Alberta. gone through the new registration program in Canada of the time, and I'm outside in the backyard building a 2-story treehouse for my toddler girls, and of course my son, who was much younger. And my daughter was very young, and she loved to play with the old, the old style phones with the cord, and you could program in numbers when 911 is on there. Little did I know with the changes of the municipality and handguns that if a 911 call is logged and it's from a home with a registered handgun, the police come out with full SWAT team. We're talking on the scale of like Hollywood, USA, like some evil gangster, and they come. There must have been about 24 special forces cops, full automatic sniper guys in the back in the neighbor's yard. They had the whole place staked out before they stormrolled it. I was called. It was weird questions they asked me. And of course I answered. I was sitting at the table. We just had supper. And they knew exactly where I was sitting in the house. They knew where the dog was. Asked weird questions. Asked me to come to the front door. Which, of course, it was a laser light show. And I had to account for all of my firearms in the house. And they went through as I was handcuffed outside. And they go full auto through the house. And there's children in there, little ones. I pleaded with them. They don't care. They don't listen. That's Canada customary law, folks. That's way more brutal than anything in USA. I mean, you'll see it in the gangbangerville, but this is just general citizens. So I couldn't produce one shotgun. At the time, I had a bowler, and I'd taken it out to the mountains, not just work, but I'd gone out to the David Thompson, for those who know about bears and cougars. We did some crownland camping, and of course I always bring my firearms, and the shotgun loaded with slugs was locked away in the bowler. I didn't have it in the gun stand-up safe. Wasn't locked away like the rest. And they wanted, where's that gun? It's missing. And they had the long rifle registry. So I finally broke down, and I told them it's in the bowler. They took me back out, still handcuffed, into the garage with my keys. I unlocked the bowler, tell them it's in the side compartment. It wasn't trigger locked, and it was loaded. I had forgotten it. I made a mistake. And that cost me all my firearms. It took me almost 8 years to get my license back and all my guns, even though I had won my case. Like I said, Wild West owner was in there, the one brother, and of course he was in trouble for a domestic dispute over a shotgun as well too. We were both in there on shotgun violations, but long barrel registry, that cost him his stake in the business, for those who don't know the story. But we shared that day together, and it was hell for me to get my license and gun back. But getting into more precedents, so I told you the one just in Edmonton, Alberta. Here's another one for average Joe Janes in precedent law. And no police have ever really been ever overtaken in any court over this. It's not a crime for police. So domestic dispute, scaffolder in Edmonton, Alberta, a number of years ago in the North End. It was big news, and it's precedent law. So he's divorced. He's working a shutdown, and after work, working many hours, often he goes home wearing his work boots, his Carhartts, and he has his tool belt around the waist, and one of those holders is a retractable knife for his job, okay? Common tool. No one would think anything of it, but it's a high conflict divorce. It's a custody battle, and he's doing his weekend visitations, which it was a long weekend. He had worked, and he only had that one day. He was exhausted, probably a little bit temperamental, and of course the ex is going to mess around with him. And she lives in an apartment, 3-story, and all the neighbors are out, hot summer day, and he's ringing the door to get the kids to come down. He's messed around with over an hour. He's hungry, tired. He starts yelling up, name calling. She's screaming back at him. She calls the police and says he threatened to hurt her and he's got a weapon on his persons because he's got his tool belt around his waist. 2 officers show up on scene, and as they are all trained Canada-wide, just like Secret Service for president or political officials, like we can go back to Capitol Hill on January 6th, and of course a year before that day, as you all know, that army woman tried to break through that door barricade and she took one in the chest. Well, in Canada, folks, police are trained to empty out their entire clip. Their entire clip. When they commit to shooting you, they enter into emptying the entire clip. You shoot to kill, you empty the whole clip. There's no winging people or trying to put them down. It's not like USA. You are trained as an officer under Crown customary law to absolutely empty your clip. And that man at 40 feet away, going around the building, trying to get to the back door just to get his girls, and the police hollered at him. And many witnesses, hot summer day, and of course people out on their balconies. And from 40 feet away, most of the clip hammered him in the back. He had ripped around, but he'd already taken so many bullets in the back, puncturing his lungs, and a couple in the chest. Of course, he went down. They handcuffed him, threw him on his stomach, where he proceeded to drown in his own blood in less than 2 minutes. You can read that precedent case. That's a real one. We can go on and on through absolutely mass amount of precedents, all the way to the railway company and Hamilton's case, 2 rebellions, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The use of extreme force has always been utilized by police in Canada. If you're a foreign national, check out your precedent law. I've experienced myself, along with the 8 years, there was a time I was driving my now ex-wife's car, commuting, trying to save gas. She had my old truck, and I was using her car for a lengthy local job, but it was a long distance commute. And the only excuse they needed was the baby's car seat, which was metal, looked like a rifle barrel. And that proceeded them to pull me over and put me through complete hell, armed, firearms drawn, and they tried to freeze me into a snowbank, and it was cold that day. They tried to freeze me. Of course, they kept me and did all that in the name of firearm registries and using the fact that it looked like a long barrel rifle in the back seat, but it was just the baby seat. The armrest, one of the pads were off it. But shoot first, ask questions later. I nearly froze to death, soaked and in snow. It was brutal 9 hours of my life, like a standoff that I wasn't creating. That's just my life, and I know there's literally, I've looked at lots of executions by police, criminal or otherwise, or under suspicion of, or involved firearms. Standoffs, they always end badly. You can look at lots of history of shootings where we'll never really get the story, but RCMP or police will claim that the person shot first, but it's usually never that way. It's usually they send out a SWAT team wherever you're at in any situation, and they're there to put you down. You can read this over and over again. Americans have come here, they've tried things, see ya, gone. And there's never, ever been a single conviction in that respect on any of those things. Never. I think there's been a few cases. One woman, female officer, just recently got nailed for discharging her firearm and killing a person unarmed. But if there's anything to do with the national security or the rest of it, their oath is to empty their clip into you. And if you're a foreign national faking vaccine passports to join a convoy, and you're going to block roads in a criminal design, or you got fake manifests saying you're delivering goods, but you don't actually do it, ooh, they can do a lot to you here in Canada. Unlike nothing in the United States. People always think Canada, this happy place. It's not very happy at all when you get on the wrong side of Canada's law. Canada's law works for the Crown alone. It's nothing like the United States of America. And in that respect, they're much like the policing system of Russia, where you don't want to get on the wrong side of the law. When they draw their firearms, you do exactly what they say, because they can empty a clip into you. And if you don't believe me, go look up precedent law, read the cases. There's more than 1,300. I'm sure there's thousands more than just that. But I only looked up foreign nationals and police executions here in Canada. Nobody wins. Nobody wins on that. You lose your life. And likely there will be no consequences to that officer, regardless of the situation. I just don't see American businesses putting their assets in a foreign country to fight mandates that should be fought at Washington when you're talking about cross-border transportation. Americans on the American side and Washington, Canadians on the Canadian side. If Americans participate in that, look out, that's game over. So, like I said, I'm letting the GTA go. I know the camera's too smudgy and the salt from the roads, but, you know, this is early wee hours of the morning on the GTA. We've already, and I can clearly see it, I know it's not clear with the lights, but we've already passed probably 3,000-4,000 rigs just as I've talked. Those lights might look like cars, but if I give a side view, they're all big rigs, man. Thousands and thousands in the wee hours of the morning. Going to be tens of thousands by the morning each and every day. Look, that's double lane of rigs there, guys. Look at all big rigs. And this is nothing. This is nothing. Like I said, I've passed thousands and thousands. Trudeau's just going to laugh at the convoy to a point, right? And then it's going to be what they're doing. Like I said, I think just for, not tomorrow because it's convoy day tomorrow, I'm going back to, I never come in on anything but the 407, but absolutely for Friday, I'm going to run a daytime. I'm going to get up extra early and donate an hour and a half for a Facebook Live called the GTA Daily Big Rig Convoy, and I will show you just exactly as it is on 612 lane like this. There's 6 there, 6 I'm on, 6 opposing, and then 6 upper. Like, you guys have no idea. A lot of Canadians have no idea. If you've never seen it or experienced it, you have no idea. And like I said, it's all big rigs, guys, but it's hard with my camera face in the fog. It looks like they're just cars, but when I turn it sideways, like I said, that's not a car, that's a big rig. And literally I'm looking at, I don't know, it's way more than any convoy already, and this is the wee hours of the morning. I wish I could show you the big mass amounts of red lights as we enter GTA. By the way, we're just entering GTA. That's why 6 lanes. Like, that's crazy. I mean, US, that's not crazy for the major, like New York or Los Angeles and even Houston and the rest of them. But, you know, for Canada, this is the huge scale. And sorry, people, but it's a weak minority of unvaccinated. It's not going to really do much. Just like United We Roll, because this is what has to be beaten. I know my phone doesn't do it justice on video, but here's our first borough. All towers, miles of towers. I should do a live sometime and take you on a journey of boroughs and towers all the way to the legislature, all the way from Hamilton, where I reside, outside of the GTA. It's a huge commute I do every day of my life just to stay fully employed in the pandemic. It's disgusting. People have no idea. Like I said, those aren't cars. All big rigs. All big rigs. And it's, yeah. way more than any convoy. And I mean, that convoy will go slow. It'll slow down the 403, the 401, but it's not going to impress anybody really here. It's just not big enough. You need like 100,000 trucks, and then people will be moved. But as for gridlocks and miles of trucks, that convoy is a daily reality for Toronto each and every day of commuting for millions of people. It's brutal, it's ugly, so one hell of a thing. Anyways, that's my video. I guess I could leave it plain, but my arm's tired. I don't like it on this side, but I'd like to cut it off. We haven't even hit the GTA. I'd like to get a mount and prepare for Friday, but you guys all watch your convoy stuff, but the GTA, it's going to be nothing. As like I said, every word I say, we pass 2 or 3 big rigs. Add that up over 20 minutes, thousands. Okay guys, thanks. That's my video. Bye now.